children should see the parents as a unit, because when they grow older, they're going to be using this to their benefit. If they want to have their way, they need to step out of the house. They come and ask the mom first, who's strict by nature. All moms universally. So she might either say a blunt no, or might say go and ask your father. So if you've said a no, the child is again going to try to pursue the father, who there's a chance he might say a no. What happened here is because the parents were two separate units, the child has used that to his benefit. To avoid this thing in the future, its foundation has to be laid in the young, tender years only, and it has to have a strength of relation in the relationship of the parents, and
Right.
for the sole reason that the child can be parented better. Be the adult in the situation, choose your battles, and don't apologize. Remember, what is the aim of you apologizing? To teach the child, not to silence your own guilty conscience. And another reason moms tend to do this more, dads, I don't think they do it. Moms, I think, why they do it. The reason is that they actually aren't satisfied with the reason for which they were disciplining. If you're not completely satisfied for something that you scolded your child, you will go and correct yourself. So, in the first place, be on the right page, be in the right set of mind that this is actual wrong behavior in my book of rules, and that's the reason why I'm going to be reprimanding her, scolding her, making him or her understand the things. And that the guilt is not going to set in. You'll be satisfied that I have actually parented and corrected my child for something really good. You'll be in a much relaxed state, and you wouldn't have the need to say sorry all the time.
I used to think if I couldn't find hope, I should just let it all go. I used to think if I couldn't make dreams come true, I should just let them all go.
And during such situations, where there is a parenting clash between the parents itself. So in that situation, what happens is one is trying to discipline and the other is trying to, in order to be in the good books, trying to, bribe or give attention, extraordinary attention, or, bring in the materialistic things, or, things like that. So in that situation, what is the child's perceiving? First of all, one set of question is this, and what the mother or the father should do. I mean, either of them who's more disciplined, who's trying to be more disciplined. So how to discipline the other parent also?
That's a very good one. So now we'll talk about how to be on the same page as your partner, and this is very important. And it's important because if you need your child to go by certain rules and certain disciplines in your house, so you have to have them discussed well in advance, so that whether it's in relation to the time at which the child is supposed to go to sleep, or whether it's in relation to getting gifts, or having outings, which usually dads are infamous for, all the good stuff, and mom is responsible for all the strict, routine, monotonous work. That's how it's been perceived. So let's change that. Let us moms also, let's come on the same page first, and then do things as a unit together. The children should see the parents as a unit, because when they grow older, they're going to be using this to their benefit. If they want to have their way, they need to step out of the house. They come and ask the mom first, who's strict by nature. All moms universally. So she might either say a blunt no, or might say go and ask your father. So if you've said a no, the child is again going to try to pursue the father, who there's a chance he might say a no. What happened here is because the parents were two separate units, the child has used that to his benefit. To avoid this thing in the future, its foundation has to be laid in the young, tender years only, and it has to have a strength of relation in the relationship of the parents, and
Right.
for the sole reason that the child can be parented better.
Absolutely. Yeah. So mothers need to, first of all, come to the same page as fathers. You're saying that first, initially, let's be chilled out mothers, and then
Yeah.
sleepily seep into, slowly seep into our
Yeah, they will
strictness.
come to a balance.
Yeah. That's a great, smart technique, I must say. All right. So, Dr. Rahat, it was definitely, an interesting session with you. Thank you so much. It was a delight to talk to you and to know so many techniques and insight about parenting. So, if we have to, in a nutshell, conclude today's session with our title of How to Discipline Your Children Without Yelling or Spanking. So, would you please conclude the session for us today? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you so much, Poonam. It was really fun chatting with you.
Yeah, amazing. Same here.
And coming to concluding, now it comes to parenting your children, we actually didn't speak of the techniques that actually one needs to use instead of yelling and spanking.
Yeah.
So I'd like to put some light on that. So
Sure.
first we spoke of timeout, which is a very common technique. Everyone would know about it. Just decide. It's for younger kids. You need to decide on a small space, a corner, a chair, or if you don't have any of that, just take a color tape and put it on a wall and form a square. And explain to your child, not in moments of his tantrums, just out of the blue, that this is something we've started. If you behave bad, you're going to end up in there. The child has to understand that ending up there is a form of consequence of a bad behavior. He's not going to have access to his toys, books, or any of the good things. Initially, it's going to be very difficult because children are such, they're going to entertain themselves even in that small square while facing the wall. They'd either talk to themselves or write something on the wall, imaginary stuff. But then, if you keep on doing it consistently, they will understand that this is boring, this is something I don't like, and I don't want this consequence. Then again, a feedback is going to go and the children are going to be better at that particular behavior for which they were put in the first place. Now, coming to a bit older kids, and what you can do with older kids is loss of privileges, as simple as that. If say your child, you've asked him to not ride the bicycle outside the compound and you've reiterated that n number of times, he still ends up doing that. Now for the child to understand this, he has to have a loss of privilege, like confiscate his bicycle for a week or so. What this is going to do is make the child understand that if I don't listen, there are consequences. And number two, it will also help him understand his own safety, that the reason behind why my parents have told me so. It will force him to think. If he wants his bicycle back, it will force him into that correct model behavior. Then there is another interesting technique. It's called positive discipline. Must have seen it on social media everywhere. Positive discipline is just a fancy term for not using any sort of negative punishment or negative words. All you need to do is divert the child's behavior. Whenever he's doing something bad, like he's about to hit his sister, or if you're telling screen time and the child is not listening and it's been n number of times, you either need to use distraction or humor to steer the child away from the bad behavior. And this is in practice, it sounds really good, but then in practice, you actually need to be really alert to, implement this. If you're having a single child, you're at home and you don't have any other work from home kind of commitments and no household chores, this is the perfect technique, but also kind of a fairy tale. So what I personally implement and advise is something called behavior modification. What we actually do in this is we need to target the child's positive as well as negative behaviors. When we're in our autopilot, what we tend to do is just highlight the negative behaviors. Whenever the child is bad, we reprimand him and we tell him that this isn't right, correct him, get the right behavior done, and we move on to the next task of the day. But what we need to do is highlight the positive behaviors as well. Whenever the child has been good, for example, if he's followed up a task, or he's brushed his teeth, or he's got ready for bed and followed the routine all by himself. So you need to appreciate the child for that as well. So what we're doing here is we're gaining the child's trust by appreciating him for his task, and also we are slowly modeling his personality towards a more positive thing, because he's getting so much of appreciation over normal everyday tasks. It motivates him to do more of those things. So that was it, certain little techniques of how to discipline. Okay, I like to end it like this, that yelling and spanking you want to use, go ahead with it. But remember, within a week or two of using it, say maximum a month, you would be searching for newer ways or asking people that, what do I do? Now the child is doing things that I'm not even aware of. So if you don't want trust issues with your child, you need to stop yelling and spanking. Forget all about parenting that you knew, the way you were raised and all that, and start anew. And it's your children. You've got to love them and put conscious efforts, stay motivated to bring a change in yourself, just so your children can be better humans.
Yeah. Tell me one more thing which just evolved in me right now is that, okay, if the parent, for whatever reason, the parent has yelled or spanked, now after a self-reflection within the parent, is it a good idea to go and apologize to your child?
Amazing question. Now what you have to do is, yes, you have to apologize. And the reason being is, two things are very important. Number one, when you are apologizing, so that is the most effective thing. And second is why you need to apologize. So usually you should apologize when all the steam has been blown off. Both of you are calm now and in sane mind, when your logical mind is working, not the emotional mind. Otherwise, mothers, out of our guilt, what we do is we scold the child, we spank or whatever, and the next moment we go and try to hug our child and kiss him. I'm so sorry, baby. Why did I hit you? I'm really sorry. That isn't going to work. Of course, it will silence your conscience because you immediately went through with it. But for the child, he's only going to get more irritated and move far away from you. So try to do it only when the steam has been blown off and both the parties are calm. Next is, why do you need to apologize? Aren't you the adult in the situation? The thing is that if we want our children to be humble, down to earth, and to learn the ability to apologize, they need to see the same in ourselves. Now, it's not going to happen that every time you are in such a situation where you are wrong and you had to apologize, your child will be there as a witness. It's not going to happen. The best way to teach that is from home. If he knows that my parent was at fault and he's come and apologized to me, it's going to send out an amazing message where the child is going to be forthcoming in doing the same when it's his own mistake. So basically, you're actually preparing the child for his future life, but in such subtle, small behavioral changes in your own self. So that's again conscious parenting.
Right. But what if it becomes a pattern and the child starts telling you that it's okay, you come and say sorry, but then you end up, yelling at me or hitting at me?
That happens a lot. Now, you know why that is happening? Because the parent has gone overboard. You got to choose your battles. The very small thing this is, younger children and older children, the brains are completely different. If you have to discipline your child or make him understand anything, that is target a wrong behavior. If it's younger children, take all battles. Correct them for every single minute that you find them. But when you're talking about older kids, you got to choose your battles. There might be 10 instances of wrong behavior. Don't target all 10 of them. Ignore some of those. But then some that are actually violent, rude, or actually need some attention, target only those behaviors. The reason being is the moods and the temperaments of the kids, they keep on changing with the age of the child. And like you said, if you've taken all of the battles, you might end up having corrected your child 10 times a day. Half of it would have not worked. The child would have ended up irritated, and yourself, you would have ended up in tons of guilt. And what do? I'm sorry. After each of those. So what you gotta do is be the adult in the situation, choose your battles, and don't apologize. Remember, what is the aim of you apologizing? To teach the child, not to silence your own guilty conscience. And another reason moms tend to do this more, dads, I don't think they do it. Moms, I think, why they do it? The reason is that they actually aren't satisfied with the reason for which they were disciplining. If you're not completely satisfied for something that you scolded your child, you will go and correct yourself. So in the first place, be on the right page, be in the right set of mind that this is actual wrong behavior in my book of rules. And that's the reason why I'm going to be reprimanding her, scolding her, making him or her understand the things. And that's the guilt is not going to set in. You'll be satisfied that I have actually parented and corrected my child for something really good. You will be in a much relaxed state and you wouldn't have the need to say sorry all the time.
Yeah. Thank you so much. On that note, thank you so much for sharing all the insightful insides of parenting and some new techniques which we hadn't heard of. Thank you so much for doing that and coming over to our show.
Could be good for me. Lately I was feeling like I need a purpose.